All right, everybody, this will be warning to all politicians. I'm running for president 2024, part 105, I think, somewhere in there. So, I guess there's been another police shooting and more violence has erupted and stuff. And I'm sure, like with the rest of them, no one's looking at all the facts. And there'll be more quote-unquote peaceful protests and more violence. These people in the street, first of all, are being incited by a lot of these politicians who are doing nothing to tell them to stop on the left. Some are even encouraging it. So they should be ashamed of themselves, because they have no regard for the people who are being hurt, the business owners who are being hurt, the everyday citizens who are being hurt and assaulted. They got people going up and throwing bricks and stuff at the backs of people's heads and all kinds of stuff. You have them assaulting police officers. If y'all want to make martyrs out of criminals, there's something wrong with the way you think anyway, to begin with. It's just ridiculous. You want to make martyrs out of drug dealers and people who have committed other types of crimes and stuff, and then who may have hurt other people and then resist arrest. You reap what you sow. If that's the kind of life you live, eventually it's going to catch up with you. Have you all seen that? Have you all seen that video of that guy on the subway platform that assaults that woman and then tries to rape her or acts like he's raping her and stuff, and people just standing there with their phones taking video of it? I think they finally caught the guy, but I'm sure he has other things he's done. He's even probably been arrested and stuff, and remains to be seen. They're just gonna slap this guy in the wrist and he'll be out back on the street, probation, or maybe he'll go do a year or two and then be back out on parole. These are the type of people, I think, that are out in that most of those crowds, the quote-unquote peaceful protesters, those and a lot of the people they let out of jail and prison that they said, it was just harmless drug charges. And a lot of these people they've let out because they were worried about COVID. But we just see how Nancy Pelosi was, at her age, running around without a mask, getting her hair done and stuff, but nobody else can. So, that guy did that to a woman on that subway platform. He needs to go away for good. What if there had been police there? They tried to arrest him. He resisted or something. Took their taser, assaulted them, whatever, and they shot him. Would you be out in the street defending him too? Would you be out in the street defending him too? Mad as hell that the cops shot this guy who just in front of everybody sexually assaulted this woman. Because from what I've seen so far, I think you would. Just because it was an officer who did what he had to do, I think you would. I think you would be defending this guy. And if you're a woman out there in all these protests and stuff, what the hell are you thinking? Do you honestly have any understanding of what you're doing and who you're carrying water for and why? You want to be out there in the streets protesting and possibly ruining the rest of your life? Not to mention getting injured or something, having something happen to you, for some people who may or may not be just like the guy that assaulted that woman on the subway platform. And the people that encourage you, they're not only endangering, people who live in these cities and towns and stuff, by allowing these protesters to do all this stuff and loot and burn and assault people. Some of them had even come out and said, you know, if Trump wins, it needs to keep going on. So it shows you right there. That's, you know, they want you out there for political reasons. This ain't about civil rights and justice. This is about them getting political power. Open your ears. You step back. Take a look at what's really being said and by who. This is all about, they can't stand the fact that Donald Trump won. It is about political power. The impeachments, everything. So you're out there putting your, where are these people who are encouraging you? Are they out there with you? Of course not. They're not going to ruin their lives and their careers. They're going to have you out there ruining your life. Because if you happen to be, even if you're just caught in a crowd of people, some really violent people who are doing some things that they're going to be arrested and prosecuted on federal charges, that's going to stay with you. I know a lot of these, in these liberal places and stuff, you know, oh, they're slapping people on the wrist and letting them go. But that's not going to fly forever. Believe me, there's a lot of people who think they're getting away scot-free with all this stuff who are going to jail. You are going to go to prison. And the people who encourage you to do it, they're going to still be making money and flapping their gums. So it's bad enough, you know, these politicians don't care about the everyday citizen getting hurt or the business being burned or what have you. But they don't give a damn about the protesters in the street either. Because they know you're out there, you're going to screw up your damn life. And they say it all the time. It's because of Trump. Has nothing to do with justice, right and wrong, anything like that. All it is about is they can't stand the fact that Trump won, and he's probably going to win again. And they're delusional if they think he's not going to win. I said probably, but I really think it's going to be a landslide because people are just fed up. And like before in some of these videos, I've questioned: are there people who want a civil war? Do they want a race war? Do they want all this division? And why would they want it and stuff? And now it's gotten so ludicrous. I'm beginning to think even the people on the left who are saying they hate Trump and they can't let him win in all this, and who are encouraging all this stuff, secretly are somehow, you know, on the same side, and they want Trump to win. Because it's just ludicrous. How much you think, oh, that's it. It can't get no more macabre or weird. And then they do something else and say some other kind of junk. And it's like, are you serious? You know, and then they pick Joe Biden to be and it's like, really? Now, out of all the Democratic candidates, I thought Tulsi Gabbard was probably the most level-headed, commonsensical person. And she had been to war and stuff like that. So, you want somebody who has some experience and stuff, who's not just going to be swayed at the drop, you know, the first thing to, to send our sons and daughters off into some useless freaking war. And that's, Obama campaigned on it. Oh, the wars were wrong and all this and stuff. He's going to get us out of them and stuff, and things are going to be different. Now, like, I'll admit, his first election, I was kind of thinking, it'd be good for a change, maybe, even though, all the Reverend Wright stuff, him sitting in that church, it's like, that's what them people up there want to hear, so, and he's a politician, so he's got to be seen there and stuff. Maybe he doesn't really think that way, etc. But by the end of his first term, I was like, screw this guy too, because I thought, hey, man, maybe get a black dude in there. He'll cut through all the bullshit and say, that's enough. We got to take care of, make life better for people in this country. But he didn't. He played the same old political games as all the other politicians and stuff. And now Trump gets in there, And he's rubbed elbows with both sides his whole life and everything. So, a lot of people say, oh, he's got dirt on these people and that, and they're afraid of him. He might have dirt on everybody, but I don't think he's the kind of guy. I think maybe he was the, fly on the wall, spider on the wall, through a lot of stuff, heard a lot of stuff, saw a lot of stuff, but he was just gaining knowledge as to how things worked in the political realm, and deals were made and stuff and everything. And probably saw a lot of how we were sold out by all these people on both sides. And so they might be afraid that he's got dirt on them and going to spill it, but I don't think he's the type, he's going to spill private secrets and stuff out there that he knows on people. Now, whether in private he uses it as a little leverage and says, do you remember when, such, and make the person think about it? Who knows? But as to actually bringing stuff out, unless it's some kind of criminal activity, like, with Biden's son overseas and stuff, or it's already in the media, I don't think he's going to bring it up. So they're worried about that, but I think what really makes him successful is he's seen both sides. He knows both sides. He knows who the corrupt people are, a lot of them, and he can try and weed them out and do for the people of this country, all people of every race and color. This identity politics where people you keep promising, and it's like, you keep promising, whether they're African Americans or Hispanics or whoever, the gay people and all this and everything, and the rest of America's been sitting back going, what about us? And that's the thing with this COVID and with these riots and protests and stuff and everything. I think they're using all that as an all-out attack on the middle class and the entrepreneur and the private business people. I really do. Because it seems those types of people are the ones who are suffering the most through all this. The big corporations, Walmart, Home Depot, all this, their doors are open and everything, but, Betty so-and-so can't open her nail salon? What the hell is up with that? We're supposed to have equal protection. If Walmart can have its freaking doors open, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to have your doors open. And I don't think that's been brought to the forefront at all, very much by anybody. They haven't been telling us drivers to go home. Oh, you're essential. You gotta stay out there. And yet, I have not seen one truck stop where they have had testing for drivers. Not one. Not one. And we travel the whole country. So if you're worrying about something being spread, don't you think, and you tell us we're essential and we got to stay out here traveling around, don't you think they would take some precautions and maybe put some testing in areas in some of the truck stops or the weigh stations or something? But we're starting to see all these numbers fall off, and we're starting to see new numbers where they're like, hey, only 6% of the people who died during this COVID stuff actually died from COVID. So that makes it less deadly than the normal everyday flu is. Because there was what'd they say, 180,000 deaths? So you figure 6%. So what's that? 10,000 people? No, wait a minute. Sorry. 6% of 100, that would be 6,000. Yeah. Wouldn't it? Yeah, because 10% would be 18,000. Yeah, so somewhere in there. %, 60,000, and then... Oh, I'm sorry. I see what I was doing wrong. So, like 80,000. No, even that ain't right. What the hell am I doing? Never mind. It's been a long day. 6% would be 6,000 of 100,000. Excuse me. So, yeah, 10,000 people. Long day. Excuse me there. So less than the regular flu can be directly attributed to is why somebody died without other causes. And how they compile that data and figure all that stuff, that's enough. You got to go through all that. If somebody's 80 years old and has some condition, and COVID kills them, is it slash kidney disease slash COVID reason for death on the death certificate, or is it COVID slash kidney disease or whatever. So, they got to categorize everything and all that kind of stuff. So we see there's been a lot of misinformation, a lot of fear put into people for no reason. I mean, I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts there are people who have actually died because of the news media, and because when this stuff was first hitting, they were like, oh my God, we got to get people on ventilators. They're dropping like flies. If you get this, you're going to die. And I have no doubt that a lot of people, when they first started getting symptoms, and if those symptoms were pretty bad, all they could think of is they were freaking going to die. And I think that might have led a lot of people going into shock. I really do. To where that's all they thought is it's done. And then they found out putting people on ventilators might not have been the right thing. I wonder how many of these deaths can be attributed to the wrong procedures being used on certain people and putting them on ventilators when they didn't need them. So there's going to be a lot of fallout from this, or there should be a lot of fallout from this for a long time. Getting to the bottom of everything and seeing, because the next disease or whatever that comes along, that might be something even, like a real plague type stuff. And if they can't get their act together over this, and they're going to play politics with something like this, imagine when it really gets scary. So I am just totally dismayed by the political games being played with a lot of our lives right now, just so they can satisfy their political aims and wishes and the things they're doing. It's just really disheartening to see this going on in this country, and that people can be assaulted for wearing a Trump hat or something. Never mind all the protesting crap and everything, but just because you're wearing a MAGA hat or something, the people think they have a right to attack you because of the things these Democrats, like Maxine Waters and the others, have done. You're supposed to be a leader in this country, and somebody who's well educated and well behaved and civilized. But since Trump won, you haven't acted any of those things there on the left. You haven't. You've acted like a bunch of thugs out in the street telling people, yeah, go find them wherever they are, if they're in a restaurant, and you shout them down and all this and everything. I'm sorry, I don't remember that happening to Obama. Don't kid yourself and think it's because everybody was so happy with Obama. That's why. Wrong answer. Don't mean to bust your bubble. But I had high hopes for Obama at first. I thought, finally, we'll get somebody who'd be no nonsense, whatever. And he was just full shit as the rest of them. So far, I think Trump is no nonsense. I think Trump just wants to do a good job. And he wants to make life better for us here in this country and straighten out a lot of things we've been getting screwed over. That's what I think. So, and I'll go back to talking about that that movie plot. It's like I said, it'd be a combination of You know, you look at Pink Floyd's The Wall, Orwell's 84, Clockwork Orange, 12 Monkeys, and maybe some like Terminator aspects to it, or the Total Recall, not the Schwarzenegger one, the other one. Maybe some Blade Runner in there showing the future, and Total Recall and that showing like the future civilization and how bad it is. And then you have Terry Crews' character, or whichever actor would play it. I think he'd be good, traveling back in time to see his great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, who is also a physicist like Terry's character is, and trying to explain to people how bad the future is and how they need to do something to stop it, because the whole of humanity is supposed to go over the edge into darkness. You know, because there's this leader that's going to take power in the future. You know, we can just, you know, like if you look at that future and stuff, you know, maybe the White House has been partially destroyed or totally changed, you know, painted gray and black or something, you know, and just total corruption going on, total immorality, those types of things. And Terry's character is like one of the last few holding on to what, you know, like the Constitution and faith in God and all that type of stuff. And just he feels he has to go back and warn somebody about the future of what all this leftist stuff leads to, madness. And you can look at today's headlines, how they're indoctrinating children in schools not to know if they're a boy or girl, or even with homosexual stuff and all this type of stuff. And you know, how they don't want any police, and you know, instead of police officers like Officer Dorn and stuff gaining, you know, sympathy from people, you got, you know, these mobs are showing their sympathy for these criminals and stuff, and the politicians encouraging it and stuff. And imagine that magnified like 100 times going into the future or something. So that's, you know, like Terry's character will be, you know, in this like really bleak futuristic world, and he knows that if it goes on much longer, there's not going to be anything left of humanity at all. So he builds his time machine, or his time gate, or whatever you want to call it, figures out a way to travel, and goes back to find his great-great-great-great-grandfather, or however many generations it would be. And then I think that character would be Bruce Willis, you know. So and then another aspect of it is, and I'm sure this could fly in a Terminator movie too, if they do another sequel. You know, instead of everything taking place in this timeline, what if whoever comes back is able to convince the government to build, you know, a time machine to send people forward, and they enlist the Marines and stuff and everything to go forward in time and fight the Terminators. I think that you could do that, but I think that would also be an aspect in this movie too, if they couldn't figure out how to stop it. If Terry's character and Bruce Willis couldn't figure out how to stop the doom in the future in this timeline, that they would travel forward in time again, and they would take like Marines with them and stuff and everything, and try and fight the like quote evil empire, and you know, the bad guy character in the future. So I think you could do that with a Terminator storyline too. You know, have a Reese type character come back, convince them, and knows how to build a what they call that in Terminator, something generator or something, and transport Marines. Even though they couldn't take weapons, they could get them once they got there, but just, you know, men who could fight and stuff, transport them to the future and battle in the future war that everybody, you know, everybody feels like they didn't get to see enough of in any of the Terminator movies. Well, Terminator Salvation, there was pretty good scenes there, you know, with the when he first goes into the city and sees Kyle Reese rescues him, and you get that Terminator shooting that minigun at him, all that kind of stuff. But anyhow, I think that'll be enough of the heavy stuff here for a while, the headlines and all that kind of junk. I'm sure there'll be something else come up to just make you shake your head and go, how much longer is this going to go on? And the thing is, you travel through a lot of the rest of the country, and it's normal life. But in these cities and in certain states, it's like they're in a bubble. They just don't realize that they're being played. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people in Southern California and stuff, and in the Bay Area, you see how the national news makes it doom and gloom and these numbers and all this and try and show Biden's winning the polls and all this kind of stuff. And people are kind of isolated. They're in that bubble, and it's like they think that's the way it really is. When it's not. You're out here traveling around and stuff, and it's like a lot of places, it's just like, back to normal life. It has been for a couple months, even in some places. Back to normal life. And you look at South Dakota, I guess it's always stayed, like normal life up there. But there's these areas, these bubbles in the country where people are still, just totally like brainwashed. And the only information they get and everything is from these puppet masters in the news media and in the political, like the governors of their states and the mayors of their cities and stuff. And I think even some of them people are in some kind of isolated bubble. They have no clue. If there's any of them that actually think Joe Biden is going to win and that there's nothing wrong with him and the way he speaks and everything, if they actually haven't taken notice of that, if they thought they picked a winning ticket, they're in some kind of isolated bubble themselves, man. Because, you just got to be totally out there not to be aware of and not to know the heartbeat and the pulse of the country and what the country wants. That you're still pushing all the crap that the country has rejected and doesn't want. And then you're trying to blame it on Trump. Well, Trump's made everyone divisive and this and that. No, the division stuff goes back to Obama. I'm sorry to say. That goes back to Obama. When he more or less, spit in the faces of most America and told them, they didn't get what they had on their own. And, all the white privilege crap started and the statements by Michelle Obama and this about, people who didn't see things their way, and all the undesirable crap and all that kind of shit. That's when all the division started. That's when people started going, what? Screw you, buddy. These people think they can just ride in and, hey, we got these plans and we're going to, that ain't how the country works. We're supposed to have the freedom to make our own plans and keep our money and build our families and our futures and stuff. We don't need you coming in orchestrating stuff for us and taking what we work for and giving it to other people. It's just, amazing. Hey, I believe, we're all one humanity, this and that and everything. But you can't trample people underfoot under some policy and stuff and say, well, we're gonna do it this way from now on. It don't work that way. Even within the religion I'm studying, it calls for more cooperation and for people to realize that we're one humanity. It doesn't say get rid of all your culture and all your laws and yank the traditionalist people, out of their homes and burn them at the stake because they haven't understood. If you're just finding out, it's like, I used to see, when I converted to Islam, or reverted, is how you want to put it. When I read the Quran and found that, this is the truth. Um, but there were other people who would convert, and all of a sudden, they're willing to go, whoever converted them, or just the preconceived notions of what Islam was about, they're ready to go be suicide bombers. And you'd see them on, the news reports, so-and-so, took up Islam last year and stuff, and then he's over in the Middle East somewhere, joining ISIS or one of them groups like that, and even killing other Muslims. And it's like, wait a minute. You just became a Muslim, you haven't even read the Quran, the whole Quran on your own, or studied for years, and you think you can just take off and go kill people, and then even go and kill other Muslims, Arabs and Egyptians and Iranians or whoever, who've been Muslim their whole lives. And it's like, that's why I with this new religion, it doesn't call for, yanking the rug out of everybody and trying to enforce this new world order, the cause of God, on people, but to believe and to do things to make humanity better. Now, maybe sometime, like I was just watching a thing about the Apollo missions and the Earthrise picture, and all the astronauts said right there themselves how when they saw that, they realized we're all in this together. There's only one Earth. All the lines we draw on maps and stuff are just man-made stuff. And for that brief little while, but there were still all the wars going on, Vietnam and other places, stuff in Africa, all kinds of violence going on. So the astronauts have this epiphany looking at that, and then when the picture, a lot of people on the Earth had that, but it was right back to normal, of destroying each other. So maybe sometime way in the future, there'll be just the government ordained by God, and there'll be no more borders or anything like that. But everything will be done in an equal way. It's not like you can just, it seems like there's people out there now, the order they want is, hey, we're going to rise up and smash all the white people and take everything. Because it's the white man that's been evil and done all. And that's wrong. That is absolutely positively wrong. So someday, maybe hundreds, maybe 1,000 years in the future, maybe even longer, there won't be any borders, and we'll all be on the same page as just human beings. But looking at what's going on now, I think we're a long way off, because there's some people don't have the same vision of that going on. Some of them see it as a way, hey, we're just going to trample everything that's been underfoot. And say it's all been oppression and all this and everything like that.